Welcome to Brave Ideas, the podcast no one asked for. Also, it's where we talk to change makers and extraordinary humans and they share the courage behind their boldest moves. In each episode, we tackle where they've come from, the brave idea, and what is next. I'm your host, Clint McIntyre, CEO of Honest Fox, a digital product agency right here in Melbourne.
And I'm Alex Wood, Head of Product Strategy at Honest Fox, and Clint's paying me to be here, so we might as well have some fun.
A quick shout out to our sponsor, Tequila Tromba. For a true craft tequila experience, drink Tromba. Available in all the good bottle shops and also the dodgy ones. Today, we're talking with Athan, co-founder of July Luggage, Australia's most stylish luggage brand and a serious global contender in the travel space. Athan's journey is nothing short of inspiring. From working in agencies and running a coffee business to shaking up the luggage industry with his sleek design, his direct-to-consumer innovation, and a serious ambition to take on the big players. In this episode, we'll unpack his obsession with design, his global expansion plans, and just how he's managed to build a brand people genuinely get excited about. Plus, we're going to talk about some of the ideas that didn't quite make it. Athan is a great character, and we really enjoyed this one, and I hope you do too. Let's get into it. Athan, welcome to the Brave Ideas podcast.
Thanks for having me.
For anyone out there, Athan is the founder of July Luggage. In my opinion, Australia's best luggage brand and potentially the world's best luggage brand.
Probably the best looking founder as well. It's just, you know, we haven't seen all the founders yet, but definitely one of the better looking ones.
There's two at this table.
Yeah, that's right. one off, you know. Is this Australia's hottest podcast right now?
Definitely
It's
Australia's
actually a show
worst.
about hair and us needing it. We bring on people that have got it and ask them how to get it.
The boys told me the safe word today is pineapple.
Yeah.
And so if I keep saying the word pineapple, but in context, they'll never know how to edit the podcast.
Right.
So we're going to have some fun
damn
today.
Now, there's a bit of background here. Woodsy and Ath here are old friends, so I might just leave the podcast and let you guys get back to it.
No, it's true. Ath and I met, we've known each other for the better part of about 15 years now. We met together, it's been a little while, maybe I'm exaggerating, just flexing there a little bit. We worked together for about 5 years. And I loved the coffee you used to bring me. It was delicious. And it was a good time in our lives working for a great agency, and shout out to the crew at DT Digital back then, that's now AKQA. Heaps of good people, heaps of good fun. But it's exciting for me and exciting to have you on today with Brave Ideas, because I remember when you left our team, you had big, bold aspirations and had done a heap of shit, and we all thought, that guy's crazy. We'll see where he lands. And then lo and behold, you know, we look around not even 6-7 years later, you're staring down the barrel of a multi-million-dollar global brand. Big action, big activity. You're always doing something. So today, we're gonna unpack everything.
What a great intro. Shit,
Yeah.
I'm going to take that for
That's
LinkedIn.
huge, isn't it?
That's nice. I really like that. Save that pineapple. That's a lovely.
I've only
It's a
met him
last
once,
joke, I swear.
and I've only met him once, but we did a shot of tequila. So
We did. That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
I
I was expecting some tequila today, actually, but you know, it is 10:30.
Shout out to our sponsor, Tequila Tromba. If you want to buy, co-invest.
Love it.
Let's do
I'm in.
I think I've had the benefit of meeting a lot of people in your life, and the part of this pod is actually going all the way back, and then we touch in the middle. We're going to talk a lot about July today, and then we're also going to talk about what's coming up next. You're an impatient cat, and I know you've got a lot of things on your mind all the time. But let's just start with where you've been in the last couple of weeks. I know you were just over in LA. Tell us a little bit about what you were doing there, and then we'll have a bit more of a chat.
Sounds good. It's a weird thing to be sitting with you and me talk about just me, and me not just be like, oh, you know, how's your beautiful wife and your family and your lovely world that you live in. I'm very jealous of Alex's life, man. He lives a very good life. The last couple of weeks.
Last couple of weeks.
So I was in California for the last couple of weeks. We've been in the US retailing online since July 21. So right in the heart of COVID for what was happening in Australia. And the business has been going so well over there organically that there's no staff, no office, there's no real presence outside of just an online business there. So we thought this is the year to finally start to double down. And, we need to hire some people, we need an office, some retail space, do all the things that we've done in Australia. Basically go from 0-1 to again and relaunch what we did over there 3 years ago, but again now properly with the momentum and presence that we've got now. So Rich and I flew to LA and we're trying to basically find the best spots to do things in. Best spot for the office, best spot for a possible retail store. To get an idea, like meet some people, meet some potential staff members over there, get some potential agencies, just getting a feel for the space.
Yeah.
Because I've never spent more than 2 or 3 days in LA or anywhere in California, so we didn't really know it. So we hired a Cybertruck.
You hired a Cybertruck.
Yeah, on Turo.
Makes sense.
Which is pretty cool. You know, like when you're Australian and you see all this stuff, you're like, I just want to do that cool stuff. But when you're in California, I think like the anti-Elon thing is a real thing, and so nobody really wants to see you in a Cybertruck. It's just not the
Much
right
less
look.
a couple of Aussies.
People get it once
Greek
they
and an
realize
Asian
you're
walk into a
tourist.
Cybertruck and then walk and sell luggage.
It was
great.
a weird thing, but we loved it. It was like such a fun thing to do with full self-driving. The car just drives itself. Crazy.
Fucking hell.
So we did all of LA, basically every suburb. Spent half a day in each. All the shopping centres, all the places, just did whatever we could to get a feel for it. Got a pretty good sense. One of the tricks that we do with this sort of stuff, I'm just going to keep talking, by the way.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I don't know how long we have, but I'm going to keep
long as we
going.
want.
I
No,
typically,
go.
you
We'll
ask me
guide
one
you.
thing,
We'll guide you.
let me tell you when I was 15 one time. One of the tricks we do is we go into retail stores and ask the staff how well they do and how well they do in comparison to some of the other stores that they might have. Retail team members, they love to chat. The whole business is chatting. So there's no one in the store 90% of the time. Somebody comes in and wants to ask them a question. They're all in. So we sat there and we just asked them questions. We baseline with ESOP, go into all the ESOP stores and say, how well does Century City do versus your Silver Lake store or Pasadena or anywhere else? And they'll give you the numbers. They're like, yeah, cool. So it's our 3rd busiest store in California. It's probably our 10th busiest in the US. And so then you get a sense of how popular these sorts of products do at that price point in this area.
Yeah.
Is this a good spot for us to baseline a retail presence in? And then so you do that in a few different areas, and then you get a sense of what you should or shouldn't do. Like nice. Silver Lake feels like Collingwood, it's a bit gritty. It's strip shopping, it's probably not going to do that good for retail. It's destination. It's kind of a bit sceney. And that's kind of the other thing too. We found LA a bit sceney. It's everywhere's to be seen that you're doing it. Yeah. But does it have the foot traffic? Will it generate sales? Is it the right spot for an office? Yeah. So anyway, we drove around the coast. We did all of LA, then we drove through Orange County, Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, met some great people along the way, some founders of other businesses, particularly Australians who'd done their thing, like Nick from Bluestone Lane Coffee, who's, just...
Opened the pub.
Killed it. They did the pub as well, but they've just, they're doing whatever they can now, but he lives out of Laguna Beach. He's like, this is the spot. This is like, if you're not going to move to North Sydney, you move to Laguna Beach.
Of course.
It's like, okay, cool. That's, great. He's also like, ex-footy player, tall, good looking. I'm like, fuck you. A nice bloke.
Anything in LA that took your fancy, seriously looking at?
In terms of stores and things like that? Yeah. Well, we actually fell in love with Orange County. Yeah, so we went all the way down to San Diego and then back again. Yeah. Look, LA is great. West Hollywood is a lot of fun. Santa Monica was kind of cool, but it's hard to. Every suburb's got its own thing. Yeah. Melrose, very cool. But then, once you pick one place, you're known for that place, and so nobody else really comes to that place. Yeah. It's 45 minutes out. Nobody drives that far. Yeah. Okay. So we were like, well, let's base ourselves as an office out of Orange County. Do a setup there, and then move from there, and then open retail stores as we need to, and partnerships as we need to. So it's from a retail perspective, not a failure, but just realization that you can't just do one and call it. Yeah, you have to pick each individual area as its own thing.
Hey, you got to hang out at a Cybertruck, so
we got to hang out. We got a good lesson, we did well, and then we went to Salt Lake City for a couple of days as well.
This is where you routinely call me asking how to buy a chalet.
Yeah, that's the best snow on earth, man. So, Brighton Mountain in Salt Lake. One of the guys who runs our 3PL took us, and we had such a great time. I fell in love with the snow again. I don't go to the snow, and this is the thing. This is my year of yes. Drive to Hotham.
Sorry, this is the year of yes?
This is the year of yes.
Cool,
Yeah,
cool,
you
cool.
heard it here first. Drive to Hotham, do the thing. You're like, we live in a great place. You should be doing most of these things. And I can't believe these guys, they live half an hour out from a mountain. Some of the best snow. We had so much fun.
The year of yes. Can you give
year of
Josh
yes.
some free luggage?
Yeah. Yes, we can. Yeah.
I want to, mate, that sounds actually really exciting. So no major US plans yet? You'll just have to see how things go?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to start hiring more people. There's this conversation around do we move, do we not move to make that dream happen. How much can you uproot a family to go and to chase a dream? I'm not a bachelor, a young bachelor. Yes. Yeah. But they haven't agreed to the yes yet. I don't know if going solo and getting a new family is going to work out for me that well. I kind of like these ones, and it's cheaper to keep them. So from my perspective, it's a bit difficult to, you're not 25 and let's just go to LA, let's just go to New York. That's a window that's gone now. Yeah. So you have to do it right, have to do it smart, do it in a way that's controlled and measured and gets us to a point where maybe we don't have to.
Christ, you sound mature. Christ, what you've changed.
Yes, I've changed, man.
I'm gonna throw back. I'll jump over to you in a sec, man. I'm gonna throw just sort of something I wanted to start with, which sort of personifies. And thanks for the update on LA and America. It is really exciting, and I think everyone just wants to see the brand do well. Like I've seen your LinkedIn, I've seen it. Every sort of social channel, people are like, oh yeah, I saw this the other day in the airport. Fuck yeah! And I'm like, it's just a bag, guys. But
it's a weird thing to get excited about, isn't it?
But it is, and I mean, a lot of that comes down to you and Rich, and people wanting to believe that, this sort of punching above their weight Aussie brand can go and crush it on the world stage, which is fucking awesome. So it's great, man. It's good. All right, that's the only compliment I'm going to give you. So,
however,
your wife is so much more successful. No. Shout out to Sham. She's an incredible woman. You've got a credible family. I wanted to actually talk a little bit about design, because I remember when I first met you, you seemed obsessed with like little design features. You would literally bite your fist white knuckle when something came in the office and it was a cool packaging. Like you'd run your hand over it and then like you'd turn it over, touch it, and like you'd show everyone, and everyone was like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. But then obviously you were admiring fonts and details and aesthetics, from a very, very early age. And I think we can see that in the designs now. How important is the design piece to you? And my assumption's always been that it's the most important thing. But where does that sit in terms of your hierarchy?
I definitely love design, and I definitely love other people who are good at it doing designs, and me appreciating them as opposed to me actually doing them. I think there's some talented people out there doing some great things. The appreciation for design is one part an art form in terms of appreciating the art. It's one part knowing that it tells more of a story than just what it is as a tactile thing. So when you touch something that feels quality, you have no idea, from a packaging perspective, you have no idea what the thing is underneath it, but you've instantly gone and benchmarked yourself to this high point. Whatever happens after that is up to the product to deliver, but you're making sure that you're doing everything in your power to lead up to the right
setting
feeling.
The scene.
That's right, yeah. There's I can never say his name right, and I should actually start practicing this. Virgil Abloh, the now late creative director for Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
He has this comment around a candle, and he says, if I have this candle and put it in a shed, you're probably going to think it's rubbish. If I put it into an art gallery, you're going to think it's art. He goes, I can put all my time and effort into making the best candle in the world, or I can focus on creating an environment for you to appreciate what that candle's meant to be. That's a powerful feeling. I didn't practice that one either.
That's actually came out pretty well. I see your stores.
I was about to say, it's the stores.
The stores are the best packaging we've got. And that's exactly that theory.
You don't have that many products in there, really, do you? But there's all the carousels you're building, all the scene you are setting when you walk into them.
You feel like you want to buy something. You're buying into the ideal of it. And look, suitcases at the end of the day, they're aesthetically beautiful. And the stuff that we do hopefully is a better product and translates that when you're using it. But if you can convince them before they've even touched it, that's the real magic. And definitely that's the theory behind the stores. I look at Aesop a lot as a reference point. I mean, my God, these guys have done such an amazing job. And also born out of Collingwood. So, a great guy too. There's a lot of parallels there, So for me, I see what they've done and gone, well, does anyone really care what's inside the pack? I'm sure the skincare is phenomenal. I'm sure it's great. But it's the packaging and the ethos and the feel that you get, especially when the staff come around, they spray the bag, they give you a couple of samples, you feel like something is quite special. So from a design perspective, I've always appreciated what else you can do. You want a funny story? I'll tell you a funny one that's like that. That's a real nice polished answer.
Yeah.
But where it gets really funny is that even in
We'll
uni,
edit it, it's fine.
that's right. Even in uni days, every assignment was printed, thick 150 GSM paper, full color, bound properly, cover pages, the works, every single one. But it was, the impression was high distinction before you've even opened it. And then it was up to the work to pull it down from there. And so, because you're a uni student, I'd always throw at least $50 at every submission. Every submission, $50, go straight to the printers and get it done properly because it feels quality. And so now they've got it and gone, well, I've just read 4 others that are junk. This one looks proper. Yeah. And so maybe it's the difference between a pass and a distinction or something like that, but it would carry me over the line for a lot of it, or at least I felt it did anyway. I don't actually know if it did or it didn't, but it's the anticipation you get when you see it. You're like, this looks quality.
Presentation matters, right?
Presentation matters, and so how you look, how you dress, it's all part of it, right?
It is. That's why you're a Greek god, right?
I got a haircut just for this, just for this podcast.
How you shaved a bit? I can see that.
But I agree. Yeah, I'm an ex-designer, and if I see a piece of paper that's a felt stock with a gold embossed or something, I'm just like, you forget the product half the time. I'm like to my partner, look at this, look what they've done here.
It's nice.
She just goes, you're an idiot.
But rolling back to sort of even before you started sinking your teeth into things commercially and being an adult about stuff beyond uni that you just passed because of your aesthetics. Talk to us a little bit about this entrepreneurial spirit when you were younger. Like, were you the kind of scrappy cat that was out there selling lemonade or going door to door and doing dollar jobs, or were you more just
I don't know. I don't have any of those, like, I used to sell my lunches kind of thing.
No.
I mean, I'm sure there was all this stuff in there, but I don't really have the memory for it. I'm sure I did though. It sounds like something I would have done back in the day.
No grifting that you want to mention? I feel like
there's some dodgy stories in there, but like it's not podcast worthy. But I think a lot of it, in a nice way, I think a lot of it comes from my parents, and like such a funny cop out answer, but I see what my parents coming as immigrants, and then they've both started their own businesses multiple times. And typically it's the dad, right? Typically it's the dad that goes in, starts a business, does the thing, and the mums that stay home. Mum actually did a lot of that, but she'd started the business with dad for insurance, and then decided to go out and do some other things. And I've always found Mum the more interesting one in that sense, because she always starts from zero every time.
Yeah,
she is the most comfortable going, I don't know anything about this category. I'm just going to start at absolute zero and go from there. So she's done things like importing shoes. She went to Milan for a fair, started importing shoes, opened up a shop on Chapel Street. Zero idea, other than like wearing shoes, right? Wanted to be a dressmaker, had zero baseline, went to Box Hill TAFE, started learning, got a job as a dressmaker, and just went on from there to do her own things. So she's always had this great thing of like, I don't care if I don't know anything. I'm comfortable in my own skin enough to be at zero and tell people I'm at zero. Let's go from there.
Are they still involved in your creative process, or when you're thinking about new ideas? Like,
yeah. Like I'll tell them, I'm thinking of selling suitcases and like suitcases. Didn't we send you to private school? I get a lot of that. But I used to make coffee, right? And my dad's favourite joke was, my son's a barista. Sorry, a barista. The classic.
Real good.
So I feel like a lot of it comes from their risk appetite and giving me the pathway to muck around a little bit.
Yeah.
I did some, from high school through to now.
Yeah.
Like you think about your actual lived childhood or adult, like leaning into adulthood, and the things that you actually did as a parent now, to look back and go, if that was my kid doing that, I feel like I've wasted my time with this person. You know, like what are they doing? You know, like I after high school, I decided not to go to uni and open charcoal chicken shops. Like
Stuff and
that's
chickens.
not for like great big immigrant parents who are white collar professionals and not in the fast food game. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Like, what are you? You know, a waste. What are you doing there? But some of the best lessons I've ever learned were doing that.
Just on kids, you got 3 beautiful children. You know, you're a super busy family, and you know your wife's the CEO of a great company, Rationale. You know, you're a busy
Shout out
founder.
Rationale.
Shout out
There
Rationale.
you go. Got the plug there. I feel it, link.
I was just reading my notes.
July.com/Rationale20.
I would tick that box, which is great. It must be exhausting. I know how involved your family is in sort of making everything happy and work and stuff. I have a question to you around being a founder and sort of observing your parents observing you being an entrepreneur. Do you look at your kids as well and think, God, I hope you follow this path too?
Oh, no, I don't think of it that much. I want great things for them, and I want to be able to be the patient parent and say, whatever it is you're going to do, I'm happy to support that, even if I think it's batshit crazy. Because I reflect and think if my son or my daughter had done the stuff that I had done, not that I did anything bad, but it just wasn't a linear pathway. And I'd like to think that I could sit there and have the patience and go, that's okay, that's fine. You wanna open a fish and chip shop? I'm down. let's do it. Let's do it together.
Can you speak? I want to be there.
Yeah.
Every step of
What's
the
your
way.
snowboard strategy? Yeah.
Show me your P&L.
I feel like it's a patience thing, you know. It's an understanding that everyone's got their own pathways, and you just got to support it at a certain point. I think it's like after 12 or 15, like you can't really do that much, right? Like they're shaped to a degree, and you've just got to be a support network from there on in. I think
champion and cheerleader, right?
That's right. I mean, I feel like you've done the reading on it. This is our relationship to a T, where I think I know the answer, but you've actually read a few things about it.
I've tried to listen to a few podcasts, a little bit of advice. I mean, it's all just guesswork, but I think a couple of the foundation books are useful. But I think I constantly look at my kids, and my passion being sport. I'm sort of going. I very early on I was saying to Lisa, I don't know whether I should push them into sport, and what if they don't like it, and I'm that father that's screaming on the sidelines. And then I sort of got to 2, and I was like, we're going to get him into stuff, and should I push him into stuff? Lisa just turned around and goes, well, how did it work with you? I said, oh, well, my parents encouraged me. He goes, go and do it.
Yeah.
He's going to do what you love anyway.
Exactly.
And I was like, I said, if we open this door, that is it. And now I'm coaching basketball and footy, but I love it.
That's
and
it.
he loves it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Arlo's going on golf weekends.
Yeah. I do get a lot of shit for that, how often I play golf. I want to champion what they do, but I have this real radar for don't make it about what I want them to be.
Yeah.
They have to find it, because you're right. And I had a great dad that did the same thing for me. He was like, be constructive with your time, but go and find where you spend your time. And I think that's a good philosophy to have.
Yeah.
But it's really fucking hard, because you're like, I want you to practice harder. Or I want you to do this more. And then at the end of the day, like, fuck it, I want you to be a happy kid.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
Yeah.
This is not self-help.
It's a fine line though of wanting them to do stuff and letting them figure it out on their own. Especially if you take them swimming, they don't want to jump in the pool, and you're like, I've spent an hour getting here. Like, can you get in the bloody pool, mate? And if they say no 4 times, you kind of got to be like, okay, all right, let's just go for a coffee. I'm going to go swimming.
I'm going swimming. Yeah,
the right answer is you jump in the pool.
Here's my phone. Watch Bluey. I'm going in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm going to. I have a question around. I said before we worked together for sort of 5 years. You got to a point where you were obviously recognizing that you were outgrowing, where we were, and potentially had other ambitions on the horizon. But you had a really solid career, and I remember the sort of energy and the flair that you brought into every room when you're in a digital agency, and it was infectious. It was great.
Thanks, mate. It was a combo, mate. You and I were a combo back then. Let's not put it all on me.
Hey,
somebody had to do the work.
Most of my questions were from our senior leaders was, "Where's Ath today?"
Sydney,
yeah. But the great thing was everyone, let it be, because it was, we knew you were working on things that would make us better, and then, we were going to be exciting, which is what clients loved. But why did you choose to sort of leave? Like, was it just such an obvious thing and there was a clear path, or because you were really going, you know what, I'm done with this and I need to go and do something else? What happened?
There's a mixed bag, and you call it my experiences outside of the office were all like all my mates were doing their own thing, my family doing their own thing. Everyone's kind of doing their own on their own schedule, and I had started that within DT with the coffee business as an experimental platform to try new things and start something myself and see where that would take us. But at the end of the day, you sort of look at the opportunities and go, well, am I executing the work that I want to be doing with this company? What am I doing here? What's the outcome? Am I getting rich? Am I pulling off the work that I want to be doing? Am I traveling heaps? Like, what is it that my goal should be? And I think for me, a lot of it was the kind of work we were doing was like 2% executional and like 98% theory. And at a certain point, maybe the tactile guy, the old schoolness in me goes like, I just want to execute on this. Mm-hmm. I remember there's one idea in particular that never got through. I was like, fuck, I'm out.
This is the place.
This is it.
This is it. Tell us.
So I think it was BP.
Small brand.
I'm sure, Tim, if you're watching this, it was BP, right? It was BP. And I still think to this day, genius idea. Of course I do. It was my idea.
Yeah.
Where they didn't do a rewards program. You're basically doing mini futures contracts within an app format. So you're buying the cheapest fuel on the Monday, refueling on the Saturday, which a couple of years later, 7-Eleven ended up doing.
They did. Fuel Lock, I think it was.
Yeah. And so that's a great way to create loyalty without partnering with a loyalty program or doing like a points-based system or anything like that.
Yeah.
I was like, this is great. It's like gift cards. You're basically just buying gift cards and then holding onto money. And then BP becomes a financial institution of holding cash for a week.
Still a good idea.
Still a great idea.
Yeah.
Obviously never went through. I think we did something like, car park party or something like that. I was like, I'm out. I'm out of here. I remember very clearly that it was at that moment. I was just like, this is not happening. But I mean, jokes aside, I felt the lack of execution tough. Where you're not in control of the situation, as big or as small as it could be, and it could have just been me. It could have just been that particular clients I was working on. It's not to blame the industry or anything like that. It was just at that moment in time, I thought, I've already got something else, being this coffee thing. I should try and do that. And I was spending more and more time on that thing as well. This is, side hustles. I remember side hustles were a thing. Everyone wanted a side hustle back in the day. And the coffee thing was my side hustle. And most people don't realize that side hustles eventually either fail or grow. They're there for a reason. They incubate to a certain point. I was lucky in that the coffee business was growing. So at a certain point, I wasn't present at DT that as much because this side of the thing was growing. And you've got to make a judgment call eventually before you burn bridges, before you lose the business that you had incubated over the couple of years. So you make a call and go, well, it's time to jump ship.
Yep.
And some people find different things rewarding. And at that point, money wasn't as important. It was about the work. It was about the growth. It was about doing other things. It definitely wasn't earning the same money.
You didn't have a family at that stage?
No.
Much easier decision, right?
A lot easier decision. Yeah, exactly.
And you turned to your CEO wife and just went, you going to bankroll me for a while?
You got to bankroll. Well, this is before we were married. This is way before we were married.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
It was very early days, yeah. So
I got a proposition for you.
Well, the thing is, when you're young, it's like moving overseas. Back to the LA thing. You can only some things you can do at a certain time frame, which is like I'm going to pick up my bags and just go to New York and figure it out.
There's another job. There's always another job.
There's always something else. You'll figure it out.
Yep.
It's just harder when you have to figure it out for other people as well.
Yep.
So that was mainly the reason. I had to jump ship and try something new. And again, most of my life experiences had been around starting stuff.
Yep. Yeah,
other people doing things. So it's probably in the DNA. It was probably going to happen eventually anyway.
I like that reflection as well of to your parents. I didn't know that about your parents and how they came here, but almost sort of by proxy giving you a license to go and just try things and make them happen, and that reinvention. was sort of on the table from the beginning.
I honestly, with the amount of stupid suggestions I've given them on things to do, I'm
Give me the
surprised.
stupidest.
No, just like I actually resigned from DT within the first week of joining. Yeah, I was like, I'm out, but I didn't actually. I told my dad. I didn't tell anybody else, and he's like, give it a month, mate. I get it, but like, give it a month. You know, I'm like, I'm out of here, mate. This is crazy. First corporate job, first and last corporate job.
Yeah, that's right.
So at the end of the day, it just depends on what you're feeling at the time, what you're doing, and what your priorities are. Sometimes you need the cash, and if you can get away with not doing it, the ultimate freedom is not needing it. Actually, we want to talk about parental advice, mate. That was one where there's one the old man gave me. He hates when I call him the old man, but the old man. Always be in a position where you can walk away.
Yep.
So that's pretty much financial advice, but also. Just how you're set up to be able to go, I don't need this, because that's the ultimate power in anything that you're doing, whether it's self-employed. Like, it's harder to do your own thing. You're not making as much. You got to work twice as hard. You got to
take on a lot more hassles from everyone else.
Yeah, that's right. It's all risk. You're doing every single job, and imagine if you tell people now, okay, cool, I'll let you be the founder of the business, but you're not going to get anything, no money for the first year. Then we roll the dice. And if you land on the number 6, you'll get paid a base salary, and everything else is nothing. And we roll again every year. And if you land a 1 on the 4th year, we'll give you $500,000. Does that sound something like you might be interested in? No one would take that deal.
That is a fucking incredible explanation of entrepreneurialism.
That's founder life. That's founder. Everyone's, oh, wow, you're doing podcast interviews and, you're driving around on scooters all day. I'm like, yeah, sure. But, you're rolling the dice every year and you've only got yourself to blame to a degree, or COVID. So there's
we're not going to talk about COVID.
We're not talking about it. We don't use the C word here. So there's a mixed bag of things, but yeah, being in a position to always walk away has always been the best advice I ever got, and it came from that first week that I resigned.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
sure, I didn't know that. Hey, we've gone a little bit on the backstory, but we're going to fast forward to July, and the last how many years now?
2018 we registered the business. 2019 started retail, so 6 years, give or take.
6 years. Wild ride, lots of fun.
It's been great.
It's been great.
It's been great.
No
it's one of the great businesses.
Rolling the dice every year.
Yeah. I mean, we did early days, 2020 was a tough year.
Do you feel like the business has really only started 2021, 2022?
Yeah, it definitely feels like 22 onwards is where the real momentum has been. Globally, we've sort of forced into global position because of, the C word. We still feel like we're fresh, and I mean, we did the national Olympic team partnership.
Yeah, congratulations.
Last year. Thanks. Yeah. So
for a sporty guy, that's a big.
It's a great deal. But, for a Greek and a Chinese guy running a suitcase business, like we with the national team, like on a business that if we use the last 3 years only, it feels like a big moment. So, just got off the phone with Qantas before this meeting. So it feels like there's momentum there.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be validated by those sorts of things too. Like, not that you want it, like, not that you need the validation, but, early days when you start things and you're doing new things, you go to the barbecue and people, I've had a lot of this where people go, oh, what do you do? You got to kind of make it up on the spot. And
I am the luggage king.
I'm a few different things, but like early days, like sure, now we can kind of look at July and go, oh yeah, I've seen this and great, I get it. But early days to sort of say like, I sell suitcases on the internet. What do you do? It's not, it
get away from my children.
People don't have the thing that they can relate to and be like, oh, I've been on a plane, So it's nice to be able to have some of that validation come through a few years later and go, right, I can say this now with confidence and move on to the next thing.
You've been pretty ballsy, or I guess in the sort of last year or so, and obviously that momentum's giving you and Rich a lot of confidence. I loved reading it. I think it was in the Fin where you turned around and went, we're coming after Samsonite. Now, I mean, it's an incredible chutzpah to be able to say that. And then I look at a company, sort of between $10 and $50 million valuation at the moment. You've got a company like Samsonite with a $3 billion market cap.
We're over 50 million valuation.
My bad. Did I have that in the notes?
Do your research.
Add some
mate.
zeros, mate. What's going on?
$50 million. Yeah, all right, mate.
Private market is whatever you want it to be.
Tell me what you like, mate. Tell me, educate. Forgive me, mate, for getting the figure wrong. But I mean, it's awesome to see that stuff, and you're just like, hell yeah, like I want to go on that ride. But maybe just sort of talk to us about how you make that a reality. It's one thing to say it, like.
Yeah, but like it is one thing to say it, and it is a great thing to say because it is based in truth, and so you need to. There's so many things that you can talk about.
Yep.
There's so much competition out there. There's so many things happening, moving pieces, market forces, people flying, soft case, hard case, international players coming in. You need to pick your goal. You need to pick your target.
Yep.
And so, with a little bit of focus, you go, who's the biggest player out there?
Let's go.
What if we just take the big guy?
Yeah.
That you're going to win half the time if you can get that guy down or like shave a little bit off him. Yeah. It's not a bad strategy. And so for us, you look at all the market research stuff. It's a very consolidated market. They've got like 7 brands. They take on. They keep buying more. Toomey, American Tourister, Samsonite, High Sierra. It's all them.
Yeah.
So and it's I think the next big player is LVMH.
Yeah.
With Rimowa and LV.
Yeah.
So you'll and which are like big drop down, and they're all high end. So you go, well, that's kind of the right price points we're talking at. There's a lot of other direct to consumer players, particularly in the US. We can try and like all fight for the same pool.
Yeah.
Or we can kind of steal a little bit of that and then really go after what we're all trying to get, which is be real about the competitor, take some off Samsonite.
Yeah.
These guys, the reason the business exists is because these guys haven't really done anything for the last 100 years.
Yeah.
So we're finding that opportunity in that luggage and travel is more fashion now than anything else. You need to be based on function. It needs to be a good case to begin with, but it's about how it looks. The colours, the styles, and so people buy into that.
Are you taking what they do from a visual perspective? Because there's a layer, isn't there, below $800, or what is it that you're filling?
Yeah,
Market,
we're pretty reasonable. Like carry-ons, $300
Yeah.
Samsonite's $800, discounted always at 40-50% off.
Yeah.
And then the retailer, the third-party retailer that's selling it's still making their 50% margin as well. So our whole story is that actually, what if you don't worry about any of that? We just give you the best product possible, direct to consumer, no middle person, no one else making margin in between. And we own the customer relationship. So if something happens, like I had lunch yesterday with somebody who their whole thing was, you replaced my suitcase when it broke. I was on the other side of the world and you just shipped me another one with a couple of photos. Like the trust that you had with me and that it was real was just amazing. And so now we've got them for life, which is just something you don't get in a larger organization. So we're making the most of being small. We're making the most of being direct.
Yeah.
And I want to steal as much. I want to annoy these guys as much as possible. The Ari, the Samsonite CEO, hates whenever I go to press and say stuff like that. Because once a year we'll catch up with him.
Talk to him down there.
I love you, mate. But it's my job to take as much off you as possible. But good people. But ultimately, that's where the business will grow.
Would you ever entertain an offer from either of those two companies?
Yeah, $1 billion for sure. But
Just one of your three.
I mean, everything's in theory for sale, crazy money, but ultimately it's not about that. You want to find, the older you get, the more you want to find your rhythm in a business and in work and have your autonomy, your purpose, your mastery, have all that sort of come into play. And I personally feel like I found it with July. It's a creative outlet. It's a commercial success, and there's still a lot left on the table. So I feel like there's still work to be done. Yep. So it's an exciting prospect, and I don't know if I can find that. I'm sure I could find it in other places, but right now I've got the perfect outcome. Well, why shift that? Yeah. And I work with some amazing people. So getting them on the table and just going, let's jump US, let's go through Asia, let's do this. Feels like a fun thing.
There's a big roadmap for you.
Yeah, it's like, and often now I feel like we've got 10, 15 years before we even come close.
Oh, that's a good roadmap. I like that.
15 years.
Yeah. You sound like
sorry, just on that, Aesop did 1 billion Val at 35 years. Zimmerman did it in 32. What's July going to be?
How many years?
It's been 6 now.
8 years. We're going to do it in 8 years. Hey, you sound like you have a shitload of fun doing what you're doing. You always have, which I think is a big part of your success as well. You seem like you're having fun anyway.
For sure, you know? Yeah. I rock up to the office and be like, let's do a purple one. I'll see you tomorrow.
I was going to ask that. I was like, we see, like, one of the most impressive things I think your brand does, and that Samsonite don't technically do, is like, I can't remember a memorable Samsonite ad. They all feel the fucking same as they do on, it just feels like wallpaper. But then I do see the stuff you do every day on socials, and you move at such a pace, right? You always have, but like there's a lot of extensions to the brand that you've done. There's some really fun ones. There's some, you know, obviously the monograms that you've got and like stickering and like, you know, you were even doing tattoos out in New York City for people that came in on that day, which is pretty wild. Like just give me an example of one of the ones where like, holy shit, we nailed that. And then one that was like, whoa, we shouldn't have done that.
I don't know about any of the ones we should have done. You know, don't regret any of the moves you make. That's everything's a lesson. Everything's a lesson. We've done some. It's funny you mentioned the Samsonite stuff. I'll tell you one campaign I saw recently that they dropped a suitcase from space. I was like, fuck, I should have done that.
Really?
I should have dropped it from space. However, you know, like the Felix, whatever his name is, the Felix guy with Red Bull. He like jumped out of a weather balloon and did the thing. They did that for a suitcase. It's like,
Did they seriously?
Damn good idea, that one. But they did do that. But then they put a parachute on it. And so it landed softly.
What? That defeats the purpose.
It's time. It's time. Weather balloon to space.
Get one up there.
Just drop one off and see what happens.
No, Elon needs some good press at the moment, so it might be the guy to actually get it up there.
That's right. Yeah. Just do one of those ones.
I hear Katy Perry's going to space in Blue Origin. Maybe you just
really?
Yeah. Another time.
But. So that's on the cards. I think the Olympics thing is one of the best campaigns we've done.
Yeah,
and you get into this world like. Leaving the agency world of you big clients, big ideas, big problems to solve, and you're doing mixed media modeling, you're doing bigger budgets, and you're planning bigger campaigns, and then going smaller scale, and eventually slowly creeping your way into that world again is really funny. It's a really weird moment where I know we've got this mass market awareness problem. You know, when nobody knows outside of like Metro Sydney, Melbourne, maybe Brisbane, nobody knows who we are.
Yeah.
So I need to double down on like, out above the line media and do all these bigger things. But big budgets, big money, and then eyeballs don't necessarily translate to money. So you've got to kind of figure that journey out. But Olympics was fantastic for us because it was a mass market, mass awareness campaign. Some of the best athletes in Australia, some of the best press. It was in Paris. Like these guys won all the medals. They did a phenomenal job while they were there. Then on the flight home, private Qantas jet in a private hangar, big media moment where they'd invited everybody. They're walking off the plane in their tracksuits, medals on, meeting the Prime Minister at the bottom of the stairs.
July bag.
All carrying the July suitcases out. Like I couldn't have planned that thing any better. It was on every channel. They all had one. They all had their own little stickers on them. They all dressed to the nines. Like it was amazing. So the Prime Minister's got one. Like it was a wild moment. So that for me is one of the better campaigns that we've done in the sense that we tried to do everything that we could to get to that point. But it was a combination of 4 years of doing Winter Olympics, doing Commonwealth Games. Doing as much as we could with athletes, going to Paris, meeting everybody, doing the things, and then eventuated in a great product in that moment.
What was the inquiries for those bags? Because you couldn't get them publicly?
You couldn't. It was through the roof. And so we actually had some stock left over from the VM, in the stores. Yeah. And so I think we had like 60 odd cases. So we thought, we'll just sell them online. It'll be fine. 4 minutes. Gone. Wow.
Jesus.
It was crazy.
You gave one away on LinkedIn, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Just to generate some LinkedIn.
Did you get it? You're on there enough.
No, I commented for Nadine.
You know,
Shout out Nadine.
Yeah. Sorry, Nadine.
it
Doesn't like you.
it was fun. I have fun with LinkedIn, you know. It's just
I love
a bit
it.
Of,
I love it.
yeah.
Is your social media manager?
No,
they
it
wouldn't
hates
like
it. Hates it. I've had to delete a couple, which is, but only because the engagement
Do you
wasn't
put
there.
them in draft and go, I've got something here?
No. I
you
post
script
it,
it,
and
Bruce?
then like an hour later, I'll get a message and be like, "You should probably delete that one." I did something about meme coins. Like I was trying to buy a meme coin because I've never done it before, and I got just deep in that hole. And then I posted on LinkedIn. She's like, "Take it off, mate." Fair,
Know your
fair
crowd.
call, fair call.
You have a you've always, I don't know if this is still your Insta handle, but you had one saying how many hours we've got left on the planet.
30,000 days to live.
That's right.
Yeah, it
that's
is.
right,
It is.
30,000 days.
I dropped it yesterday again as well. I was
Did
like,
you?
I love it. I love that one. 30,000 days to live. We've already done 10,000. First 10,000's done by the time you hit 30. Last 10,000, arguably, you want to be living the good life. You know, sailing sailboats, living on an island, or just
Yep.
you know with the grandkids. That's from 60 onwards. So you've got 10,000 days between 30 and 60. Arguably, for men anyway, the most important years of wealth generation, family generation, doing all the things that you want to be doing within this like 30 to 60 period. 10,000 days, not a lot of days, man.
I love the sentiment behind it, which is like, yeah, the clock's ticking.
It's the 10,000 days of yes.
So, is that often how you feel? Do you kind of like you're a pretty relaxed cat most of the time, but you have some super focus. Like, do you get up and go, all right, let's get the shit bloody moving, or are you a little bit more like, "Oh, let's just roll with it, and then like when you see something you're like, that's it, go make it happen.
Look, the clock is definitely ticking, but I don't have that kind of anxiety to be like I got to do everything.
Yeah,
It's definitely not there. I think the inbuilt thing in me, the DNA me goes, I don't really care if I've missed out, if I've chosen to miss out on that thing.
yeah.
You know, so I don't get the FOMO of like, I should have been a great snowboarder by this time. I should have gone to the snow every year and practiced my snowboarding so that I can be great at it now. I'm like, I'm just going to start at 40 and just be as good as I can be at this point. So I think that's the secret, is not really caring as long as you made the right choices, like you feel like you've made the right choices along the way. But there is a reality of like the big moment decisions as opposed to the small ones. So whether you go out or not that weekend, or whether you do this or not, like whatever. The big moment things are, particularly when men have their first kid,
Yep.
is always like, what am I doing? Am I doubling down? Am I jumping ship? Am I starting my own thing? It doesn't really matter what you do as long as you feel like you've made the right choice for you. And I think that's the big one. A lot of people hold on. I wouldn't say a lot, but some people hold on to those choices and don't execute on them, regardless of what the answer is. And that's where the resentment or the regret comes in. So if you don't make a move, regardless of what it is, if you don't actually action on it, you recognize that you need to do something but don't end up doing or making a choice, you'll end up having that regret.
But you also have the anxiety on the other side as a business owner if you don't get it right for your family. You know,
For sure.
could fuck this up
Yeah,
anytime.
for sure. Yeah. What's the worst that will happen? Let's be real. What's the worst that will happen?
Go back to DT.
Get back to DT. You go and live with the folks a bit. Like, it's not the end of the world, right?
Yeah.
Or you marry rich. You know, it's
Talked about charm a lot today, mate.
no, but like you know, it's actually not that bad. No. It's actually not that bad. And sometimes that little bit of a motivator is what helps get things over the line too. Yeah. The difference between why some businesses or some agencies or just get over the line is not you're first, or it's not any of that. It's the energy, the people behind the business and behind the idea who are the driving force behind it. And so, things come and go. And there is a maturity line on all businesses and all concepts where you want to get things like restaurants, right? You want to get them at their peak when they're first started, because the owner's there, he's touching things, he's feeling things, making sure everything's perfect. Eventually that will drop off. That's not for everything, but you want to capture those moments when it's on the up, and that energy is where all the magic happens. So average idea, high energy person, you'll kill it. Yeah.
Average idea, high energy. That's a good formula.
It's not about ideas are cheap. You talk about brave ideas, but they can be cheap. It's brave people. Rename the podcast.
Fuck, pineapple.
Leave that one in.
Look, I love that average idea, high energy. It's just a really good formula because you're right. Like, there is so much stuff out there, but it's the people that you meet behind what the creation is that you get excited about because it becomes a story that you tell everybody. Fuck, you've got to meet this people, not this product. You've got to meet this people. You've got to meet this guy, these guys, Rich and Ath.
I tell you,
Did you come with the suitcase?
I met this couple, so I got targeted. I don't know if this is podcast relevant, but that's right. You make the final call.
Figure it out.
I met these guys. Well, I saw their content on Instagram, and it's a couple that had inherited an olive oil farm, an olive farm in Greece, and they're Australians, and they now fly back and make olive oil and are building up to making an olive oil brand. And I just fell in love with the content. I just randomly messaged them on Instagram and said, "Love what you're doing. What a cool thing. Let me know when you guys launch. I want to buy a bottle," which led to some messages back, which led to lunch. And I was just in awe with these guys. Like, they are so into it, so high energy, so passionate about the quality of the oil, the fact that they're on a hill and they don't get any runoff and the weather is perfect. And it's like, let me show you under a microscope what this olive oil looks like compared to other brands. And they're so obsessed with it. It's so high energy. And he was very Greek too. I just loved everything about what these guys were doing. Am I going to be able to tell how good the olive oil is when I'm eating it? I'm sure it's nice. I'm sure it's very nice. But I buy into the ethos, the story, and these guys committing to it. And I believe them more than anything else. I'm like, I'm in. Whatever it is you're doing, I'm buying. I'm in. Salt, pepper, oil, oregano. Like, you put it in a bag and put your logo on it, I'm taking it because I buy into those guys. And I feel like that's a good, particularly for me, maybe going back to the design topic of like, what's the package that it comes in?
100%.
They're the package. Whatever the product is, I'm sure it's going to be great. But the packaging around it is what sells it for me. Yeah.
What are you worried about? Like, is this stuff like
cash?
Yeah.
Cash flow business.
I mean, like,
but you've talked about the packaging that goes around things. I'm sure that's on your mind a lot, like how something looks and feels and what energy is behind anything. Probably inspires you to do, we're making purple today kind of thing. Like, I'm sure you're tapped into a lot of stuff all the time. But is there stuff that you sort of like, we need the right mix of people, or, we need to be pushing harder, or is there stuff that just floats through your head, cash aside?
Copycat brands.
I gotta get this right, or I gotta get rid of that. Yeah.
We've had a couple, which is cool. I'm into it.
I'll see them around.
Yeah, I'm really into it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not into it, but I'm into it. Depends where they come from, I guess. But we've had a Chinese copy, which is a life moment. We've got like a Chinese company that's killing it in China.
Did you send them a cease and desist?
There's nothing you can do over there, There's nothing you can do. But like, we're just watching it and we're like, this is such a funny thing. And I'm proud a little bit to say somebody's copying us. It's kind of cool.
The brand's called June.
Once a week I hear that joke or something like that. Once a week. Like, it's March now. What are you going to call it? Classic.
Yeah,
what worries me? I guess like the bigger you get, the more challenges you want to take on. They're not all going to be home runs.
Yep.
And so you've got to manage. The ambition and the creativity of the team, making sure that everyone's still motivated and doing the things. Like, we launched UK, probably not the best launch. We're still figuring out what we're doing across Asia. We're, trying to Korea. We're doing all these different things, and there's a lot going on. I feel like sometimes you can drop the ball just by trying to do too much.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make a lot of product along the way. Is the product nailing it? Well, we've got like 100 other things happening. How much can you focus on the product when you're trying to launch in America?
Yeah.
We're traveling for 2 weeks, so we're out of the business for a couple of weeks. Then what happens? Then we've got to go to Korea. Then we've got to fly to Singapore. Then we've got to fly, it's just like, now I've got to check out Brisbane. We're opening a store in Perth, fly to Perth. And so you're doing all the things that you should be doing, which is the ground level stuff.
Yeah.
But you're not with the team day to day, doing the product, doing the marketing. And so you start to, everything become like bag production. Actually, this is a good analogy. Bag designing, bag production is all about opportunity cost. you can't fit everything in. And no all good ideas can go into the one product.
Yep.
So you've got to determine what you leave in, what you take out. That's a little bit like the challenges when you get to a certain scale of this business. You got to figure out as a founder, how much do I stay in the office? How much do I do everything with the team together? And how much do I start to do the ground level work that I succeeded with, that got the business to where it is, by like flying and being at the store level, helping the team out, doing all that sort of stuff, going around, driving around the US, finding an office. How much of it do you still do the stuff the 0 to 1 stuff that got you the success versus the 1 to 100 stuff now that's going to grow the business? That's the biggest worry now. The leaders that we have in the business is not just one. Our leadership team is strong and young, and they love great ideas, but we're still founders and we still love doing stuff, like the product team in particular. Richard and I spend most of our time in the product team, out of all the other things that we should be doing. So it's like you've just, and competing ideas too.
Yeah.
He thinks one thing, I think the other. The designers who know what they're doing think the opposite. And so we all sort of creatively combat until we get to the right couple of answers. But that's the magic, that's what we live for too. What else are you going to do?
Yeah. So
it's fun. It's a fun thing to do. It's tactile. And when you spend a lot of time on a computer, you just want to hold something and be like, I did this.
Yep.
So actually one of the nice things I've got, every limited edition case that we've got, I've actually kept in my garage. Oh, nice. So I can look back and go, oh yeah, cool. If anything happens, like the old jackets in the thing that it's nice. Like, oh yeah, I think I used to wear that. I've got all the old suitcases so that, in 20, 30 years time, I can roll through the airport and be like, this was my case.
I remember when I designed this.
Albo's got one.
I want to go back to the product chat. And I love that you spend a lot of that time in the product team. What are the kind of things, crazy ideas that are on the cutting room floor? Can you give us some fun ones you've tried and went, nah, didn't get that one right?
It's so funny, because Richard's real heavy in the product, and he's also got some crazy ideas. And what is right for some is not right for others, and so we go through these cycles of, that's stupid, like don't do that. And then 6 months later, we'll be like, maybe we do one of these, and it's like becomes a new idea again.
Yeah.
Some cutting room floor ideas.
We'll run a poll. Give us.
They're all good ideas. I'm just trying to think of some really bad ones. There's one that we launched. How about we talk about the one we launched? Yeah. I know we said we weren't going to talk about COVID, but fuck, it just keeps coming up, right? So when we've got no suitcases to sell because nobody's traveling because the world has shut all their planes down, what do? We worked with some great photographers before the shutdown. And so we're like, hey, these guys have got some great travel photos. What if we support the photographers, print their favorite travel photos as these frames, beautiful photos. Yeah, and we'll do it was called July editions. You can decorate your home with some travel photos, but they were serious photographers. They were great shots. So we did this, we spent 2 months getting the frame partner, the photos, the photographer partnerships, the website, automated, full engineering, one button, sends it to the printer, frames it, ships it. This is going to be great. I think we sold 2, and I bought one of them. It was at that level. Just nobody wanted that thing, but as beautiful as they were. So that was definitely an attempt at probably one of the best executions we've ever done. From a tech perspective, from a product perspective, but nobody wanted it. So I'd say that's an example of probably something that didn't really make it. But crazy ideas can come out of anywhere. We started selling drink bottles in that same time frame, and drink bottles went through the roof. For us, it was the beginning of what you're seeing now, where there's bottles everywhere. Yeah. Probably didn't do enough to capitalize on that, but they went absolutely gangbusters and helped survive the business. So there's weird ideas that come through that you're like, oh, should we, shouldn't we? I know we've had, we attempted to do female bags, more feminine handbags, and that worked out really, really well.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they're just you don't know if the brand can translate to that or not. Accessories, leather accessories have been a tougher ground. I'm just trying to think of some absolutely crazy ideas. They're all decent.
It's just timing, right?
There's nothing that bad,
it might not be right now, but in a month's time, 6 months' time, you're like, oh yeah, that might actually work now.
It might actually work, yeah. There's some wild things out there, but you know, you've seen it all in the product game. You see it all, and suitcases made out of cardboard. You know, 3 wheels. Like you've seen everything. You're like, there's some bad ideas out there.
Two questions, maybe I have to sort of finish off, and you might have
keep going.
as well. I'm interested. Like, what are you excited about next? It doesn't necessarily have to be about July, but what are you sort of seeing that you're like, fuck, that's gonna be pretty transformative, or I really, really like where that's going. That can be a person, that can be something else is doing, or July. Like, what are you excited for? What's excited for tomorrow, mate?
I'm going to be a great snowboarder this year.
Yes.
That's the theme.
Yes, you are.
That's the theme. Yeah. Just you know, I'm driving to Hotham.
You're
and
really driving this thing.
I'm 1 week. I'm going to spend the whole week practicing. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be really good. You know, what's next? July, as a brand, as a business, and its products are doing a great job. And we've got some fantastic new stuff coming out. So I feel like that's going to be really interesting. We've got some innovative stuff with tracking. We've got some new bags coming out. Like from a product lineup, 2025 is the year. We're gonna really hit home with this one because it's been iterative until this point. I mean, like let's just change it.
Huge.
So that's going to be fun for us. This year will also be the largest we've ever had a retail network.
Yep.
So we'll hit 16 stores by the end of the year nationally. So we'll have Perth, Adelaide, and the Eastern Seaboard. It's pretty exciting. Like the fact that we'll have a national presence, we can actually say now Australian brand. So that's pretty cool. I hope that we pull off some major partnerships like with Qantas and a few other major players. So that'd be fun. So I feel like from an Australian perspective, that's kind of like we're going to have a great year. I'd love for America to be the next big thing. We see the population is 10x. The appetite is 20x. Like we just know that doing a great job there can flip the business completely. You're earning USD. We're now like our dollar's not that strong anymore. So you earn a little bit more USD and you've doubled the Australian business.
Yep.
That's a crazy concept. You do a poor job over there, you've done an amazing job here. Yeah. So not that we want to do a poor job there, we want to do a great job there. So I think spending a bit more time there, having the presence, getting some US growth, I think would be an exciting thing. The new products should do that. So we're like, okay, cool. We can turn this into a very US-centric, large global business where Australia is the brand center. Yep. It supports the products, it supports the brand, it has the experience. We don't have to worry about day-to-day promos. Australia sets the tone for the rest of the world. That's a cool concept that I'd love to make happen. Then you got Asia, right? And I get most of my research just from chatting to other retailers. We'll call the ESOP people, we'll just call everybody else and be like, how are you guys going? What do you think? And Asia dominates. Asia absolutely dominates. For sure, the China retail thing is a big part of it, but Korea and Japan are just powerhouses. Yeah. It's like these places have just got the people and the money to make fortunes come and go. It's just a really interesting place, and you're not really global until you do Japan and Korea. So, we're like, why don't we do one of those too? So,
you better learn how to snowboard pretty quick, mate.
Right?
That's some good chair. I can see where this is going.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like it's my golf trip. Just do a little bit of snow. So there's an ambition there, and I can see the pathway of make sure the US is pumping, jump over to Asia, make sure that's great. The rest of the world we'll get to, but I think those are the three key areas: US, Asia, and Australia. And that's just work. That's just work. Continue to support the family and the wife to do what she wants to do professionally. Grow some amazing kids and do some amazing things.
So you're going to say grow some amazing tomatoes?
Yeah.
In the garden thing
I did do tomatoes this year, and they absolutely do. You can never buy tomatoes once you grow them.
Ours killed it. Side chat.
Yeah.
Pineapple.
I need chickens. Chickens is the next one.
Chickens is the key.
She's the next one. Yeah. But so there's that, and obviously just do more personally as well. I think now you get to a point where I won't generalize. I'll say for me, where I sacrifice myself to be able to execute other things. Not always professionally, but I'll say like I won't be as fit, or I won't eat properly, or I won't do this activity with the family because I'm trying to do X. So I feel like now that July is in a better spot, I'd probably start focusing more on me a little bit. I mean, that's where the snowboarding jokes are coming in, but really it's a personal thing of like wanting to now start growing personally as well. I feel like that's where I want to make sure that this is I'm also about to turn 40. So this is where it starts to kick in a little bit, where you're like, shit, milestone year. Yeah, milestone year. I got to start doing some things. I got to start.
Next 10,000? No. Next 10,000? No.
No, I've got three. That's 3,000 maybe. Yeah.
I wasn't there
until 60. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. There's a few things you want to work on personally. So I feel like for me that'd probably be the future step. And while you're doing that, I feel like you can bring the family along with you.
Yeah, 100%.
On those things. Get them excited. Leo, my son, is now watching snowboard trick videos. And it's the real thing. He's into it now. It hasn't been to the snow, into snowboarding. So I want to bring the kids on the journey as well, and get them to be better people too. Yeah,
mate. Incredible talk. Congratulations on all your success so far. It's a massive wild journey you've got ahead of you, and the pleasing thing about everything you do consider family, you do consider friends. You can see it in the feed, you can feel it in the stores. A lot of this is about you and the energy you and Brit bring to the brand, mate. It's expiring. I think the energy we've come out of this today going, we're ready to take on the world a little bit. So, really appreciate you giving up your time. And good luck for everything.
It's great to be here, man. I love this. I hate talking about myself.
Clearly,
just I know, right? Just in front of you like that. But mate, it's been great. Thanks for having me. When I start a podcast, I'm definitely going to invite you guys on and we'll chat about you guys for a little bit.
Bring all your baggage. Is that what
Great people.
I was just happy to be part of this. Seeing you two reconnect.
Yeah.
Since last weekend.
It's been therapy.
Yeah. We don't see each other that much. It's nice. It's nice.
I did have to preface. I said, "No, hang on, mate. We may dive off into different corners here."
I was going to call in sick.
Yeah. No, it's been great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Athan.
Really.
What a ride with Athan. I told you he was a character. From starting out in the agency world to now disrupting a billion-dollar luggage industry. Athan's story is proof that a bold vision, high energy, and a refusal to settle can take you anywhere. I loved hearing about July's next big move, the US expansion, the retail takeover, and of course, the fact that he's ready to drop a suitcase from space. If there's one takeaway from today, it's that any idea plus high energy can equal magic. I'm going to embrace his year of yes as well. Keep pushing forward, mate. We can't wait to see July take over the world. So until next time, keep thinking big and moving fast.